Given the moment we're in, this moment in America with trans issues at the top of a Republican social or conservative political agenda, knowing what you know now, if you could go back, would you send this can to this one person again?
There's a big social conversation taking place right now, and big brands are right in the middle of it. And it's not just our industry or Bud Light. It's happening in retail. It's happening in fast food. And so for us, what we need to understand is, deeply understand and appreciate, is the consumer and what they want, what they care about.
A few moments later.
For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all, because it gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. And the hate doesn't end with me. It has serious and grave consequences for the rest of our community. And you know, we're customers too. I know a lot of trans and queer people who love beer, and I have some lesbian friends who could drink some of those haters under the table. But to turn a blind eye and pretend everything is okay, it just isn't an option right now.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Dylan Mulvaney, and I really didn't want to do this video for various reasons. The first reason is that I actually think that conservatives not talking about Dylan Mulvaney as much as we used to actually really has helped Dylan Mulvaney become less of a relevant person in our lives, right? And I kind of think that that's a good thing, right? And also on top of that, you know that, you know, YouTube is sketchy about how, you know, people talk about Dylan Mulvaney because, you know, they got to protect, you know, Dylan. So I didn't really want to do this video, but I feel like it's necessary because Dylan has responded to Bud Light basically abandoning Dylan after the Bud Light boycott. Now, like I told you guys before, Bud Light is trying to thread the needle here, okay? They're trying to play both sides, right? They're not coming out here and issuing an apology to conservatives, but they aren't necessarily embracing Dylan Mulvaney or, you know, what actually got them into trouble in the first place, okay? They're trying their best to not pick a side, okay? However, like I've stated multiple times, in today's politics, you do not have the luxury of not being able to pick a side or not having to pick a side when your company decides to get political. Once your company decides to get political, okay, like Bud Light decided to get political, you better make sure that you're willing to stick with whatever side you chose, because at that point, if you choose to not pick a side, okay, after backlash, then you're going to lose everybody. And that's what's happening to Bud Light. They're losing everybody, okay? They've lost conservatives, and now Dylan is speaking out, and I assume you can say he's speaking out on behalf of LGBTQ about the fact that Bud Light has not embraced Dylan or spoken with Dylan during this backlash, even though Dylan claims that, you know, Dylan is dealing with, you know, a lot of issues related to the boycott and the backlash. So I want to react to this because, again, I think that this is exactly what I was talking about in regards to Bud Light. They're going to lose doing what they're doing, right? Which is not picking a side.
I took a brand deal with a company that I loved, and I posted a sponsored video to my page. And it must have been a slow news week because the way that this ad got blown up, you would have thought I was like on a billboard or on a TV commercial or something major. But no, it was just an Instagram video.
Yeah, but I mean, look, nowadays, what is the main form of advertisement? It's online, right? I mean, and they paid an influencer with millions of followers to do an ad. I think that's kind of a big deal, right? That's like the digital billboard, okay? You have millions and millions and millions of followers.
And the wildest part is that they also sent me one can with my face on it. And you might be thinking, Dylan, why bring it up now? I'm bringing it up because what transpired from that video was more bullying and transphobia than I could have ever imagined. And I should have made this video months ago, but I didn't. And I was scared, and I was scared of more backlash, and I felt personally guilty for what transpired. So I patiently waited for things to get better. But surprise, they haven't really.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing, man. You know, it always gets me when you have so-called influencers, people who sign up to put themselves out online, right, for the world to see, for the world to criticize, right? And then they want to cry hate and bigotry when they're being criticized. It's just amazing. Like, I don't think I've ever cried hate and bigotry when somebody criticizes me. I've never said, well, you're criticizing me because I'm black, right? Or you're criticizing me because I'm a man, okay? I don't think I've ever done that because it's a very silly thing to do. If you put yourself out online and, you know, you're putting your opinions out there, you're pushing stuff, everybody's not going to like it, right? Everybody's not going to embrace you and the things that you believe and the things that you are promoting. But again, what happens is that you have a certain segment of people that instead of just dealing with the criticism like everybody else, okay, that has a large following, they want to cry hate and bigotry so that they can shut people up, so that they can shut down the criticism. You know, it's funny because, you know, Matt Walsh has, you know, been a key figure in this culture war battle, right? And Matt Walsh has said that, you know, he's needed, you know, private security or whatever because of all the backlash from the left, but nobody wants to boohoo and cry for him needing security, right? And the potential safety issues that his family may be facing, right? But when it comes to all these other people want to boohoo, whine, and cry about it. Oh my God, they might be unsafe, when it's like, well, I mean, again, if you are an influencer, if you're putting yourself out there in the world, again, you're gonna get backlash, right? And you know, obviously, you know, any threats or anything like that is not okay. Okay, it's bad. Those things shouldn't happen. But again, let's not pretend that you know, certain people's experiences are unique just because they're woke, right? When you have other people who also speak out on certain issues who aren't woke or whatever on the other side of the aisle, and they get the same type of, you know, hate and vitriol, if that's what you want to call it, from the other side of the aisle. So Dylan is trying to, you know, act like this is something that's unique, and it's just not, right? I mean, it is just, I mean, it happens.
And I was waiting for the brand to reach out to me, but they never did. And for months now, I've been scared to leave my house. I have been ridiculed in public. I've been followed. And I have felt a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the thing. Again, obviously, those things are bad, right? Those things are bad. They shouldn't happen in the ideal world. But that is what happens to influencers. That is what happens to celebrities. I mean, Dylan, you've signed up to be a celebrity, right? I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, again, you're making enough money. You probably have private security, okay? You probably have ways of getting to point A to point B without, you know, being seen or whatever. But this is something that Dylan has always wanted, right? Like, we've seen the videos of Dylan, you know, going on The Price is Right, and I believe that Dylan tried to be an actor. Like, you've always wanted fame and celebrity. And now that you've gotten it, right, you're complaining about the things that come along with it, right? But remember, you're taking trips to Bora Bora. Remember, you've made a whole bunch of money. Like, again, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this happens to celebrities, right? People get followed around. Stuff happens, you know? I mean, again, I'm not saying it's right. I don't condone it. But what Dylan is experiencing is not different than what any other celebrity experiences because they are a celebrity. It is what it is.
And I'm not telling you this because I want your pity. I am telling you this because if this is my experience from a very privileged perspective, know that it is much, much worse for other trans people.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because you're not experiencing this because you're trans. You're experiencing this because you are a celebrity, and this is what celebrities experience, okay? Normal, regular, not famous trans people don't experience this, okay? They don't experience this. That's not happening to them, right? Because they're not famous, okay? They're not famous. They're not figures on the internet where they have millions of followers.
For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all.
Yo, low-key, I gotta say, I think Dylan has a point here, okay? The fact that Bud Light did this and refused to stand by it, okay, while also at the same time not apologizing for it, is worse, right? It's worse, okay? It does make things worse. It makes people more angry about the situation instead of Bud Light just coming out and taking the side. Here's the thing, right? When people backlash against Nike, okay, Nike they come out here and they say, hey, look, we're on the side of the wokes, right? They tell you exactly what side they're on, right? So if people continue to buy Nike or whatever, people already know, okay, well, this is just who, this is just who they side with or whatever, right? Like they just, this is who they're going, this is what they're doing, right? Bud Light, on the other hand, they're not doing anything. They're not saying anything, right? They're saying nothing, okay? They think that they can just not say anything and not take any sides and think that, well, it'll blow over, right? People are going to, forget about it or whatever. And that's not the politics of 2023. You have to pick a side because, again, according to the left, silence is violence, okay? Bud Light's silence on this issue has been a form of violence. And as you're saying here, again, Dylan clearly is hurt by this.
Because it gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. And the hate doesn't end with me. It has serious and grave consequences for the rest of our community. And we're customers too. I know a lot of trans and queer people who love beer. And I have some lesbian friends who could drink some of those haters under the table. But to turn a blind eye and pretend everything is okay, it just isn't an option right now. And you might say, but Dylan, I don't want to get political. Babe, supporting trans people, it shouldn't be political.
Well, here's the thing, Dylan. Here's the thing. They want to say, well, it's not political. Well, when you are advocating for legislation to give special rights and privileges to a certain group of people, then it is political because you have all the rights that you need, right? You have just as many rights as everybody else. You have these same rights. So when you're pushing for legislation, that by definition is political. It's the same thing that these BLM people say. Well, supporting Black Lives Matter is not political. It is political because you're pushing for legislation. You are a political activist. By definition, that is political. So when you're talking about supporting trans rights, when trans people have all the rights that everybody else has, by definition, that's political. So again, miss me with this, oh, it's not political stuff, right? Because that's BS to me. Okay, it's very political, and that's why people are upset about this, because Bud Light made a political statement. Bud Light decided to sponsor people that are responsible for pushing and supporting legislation that conservatives don't agree with. Okay, it is what it is.
There should be nothing controversial or divisive about working with us. And I know it's possible because
we are trying to work with you. We trying to work with you. But y'all don't want to work with us, right? Y'all want everything. Y'all is everything or you're transphobic, right? Is everything or you're trying to harm us, right? That's what it is. You can't work with anybody that thinks that, well, if you don't agree with us, then you're harming us. No. Like, again, people are trying to work with trans folks. Trans folks are just not doing a good job of working with the rest of society, and this is why you're running into issues, right?
I've worked with some fantastic companies who care, but caring about the LGBTQ plus community requires a lot more than just a donation somewhere during Pride Month.
Yeah, you got to support their legislative agenda too.
And I'm going to celebrate the fact that no matter how many thousands of horrible messages or news anchors misgendering me or companies going silent, that I can look in the mirror and see the woman that I am and that I love being.
I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah, so look, here's the thing, man. This is not good for Bud Light. Why is it not good for Bud Light? Because now you have Dylan backlashing against Bud Light, which is probably going to cause more people to decide to boycott. And then you're going to have, the people that agree with Dylan that's going to say, hey, you know what, we're not going to drink Bud Light. Okay, we're not going to support Bud Light. We already saw gay bars in Chicago decide to stop selling Anheuser-Busch products because they didn't pick a side. Okay, they didn't come out and support Dylan. So they decided, we got to boycott. Okay, Dylan has millions of followers. Okay, so again, this is not good news for Bud Light. But again, this is why I said, their CEO is clueless. He has no idea what's going on. He just needs to side with the core customer base that made his company great in the first place. But you know what? Because he refuses to do that, he's losing everybody, right? He's going to lose everybody. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.